What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask a CISSP episode of The Other Side of the Firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers. Speaking of which, on today's show, which is an annual tradition nowadays, to have on a special guest. So, wait, I don't really have to introduce him. He's been on the show several times, but I will anyway, right? For anybody who's new tuning in. So I have Matthew Hale. So he is the CEO of We Gonna Learn Today, which is the largest interactive Black History website in the world. It's like from Friday in the world, Craig, the world. It's always a special time of year to have you on the show and to reintroduce yourself and your platform, as well as to show the growth that's happened over the years. So without further ado, I give it to you, Matthew Hale.
Hey, how y'all doing today? Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I appreciate it. As he said, my name is Matthew Hale. I am a retired Marine, disabled vet, and the founder of We Gonna Learn Today. We Gonna Learn Today is something different. It is an interactive website platform, educational platform that now teaches not only Black history, but civics, financial literacy, and we're trying to figure out how we can get coding in there. We're starting to tackle more of the STEM elements of the program. So we have now partnered with the University of Tampa, USF, Polk State College. We're in about 20 or so schools now in the Tampa Bay area alone, and we are doing great things. And I can't say it enough. The platform is completely free. Well, not completely free. It's 95% free because you can buy the paperback activity workbooks on the platform, as well as if you just want to learn about one individual, you don't have to buy the whole book. You can go to our digital library and look for that individual that you would like to learn about and just buy the ebook for that person. And later on, at the beginning of next month, I'm glad to say that I'll be starting a new educational arcade that handles most of the STEM things that I was just talking about with math and different pieces of science. Also, it has print and cursive, spelling combined with history. It is something to see, and that will be subscription based to help continue to keep the rest of the platform free. But you will be able to test some of the apps out in different parts of the website. It is a tiered website. You got 12 and under and 13 and up. The 12 and under is bilingual. It is in English and in Spanish, and has read along books just in case the kids can't fully read yet. It will read the books to them. And then it incorporates different games and activities that come from the material from those books that were just read to them. It has financial literacy on a younger age group so that it's broken down into smaller chunks so that those kids start to learn more about finances and how the importance of understanding money. What's APRs, what's a savings account, what's needs versus wants. And also importantly, it teaches civics so that we can understand about the system that you live in. The government is part of everybody's daily life, especially state government, and that's the one that you should be mostly involved in. Just understand how it affects your everyday life. You should read up on those things so that you're aware of what can be done and what can't be done, because it's your life at the end of the day that's being affected by these different policies and stuff that are passed. So that's just a little
Absolutely.
bit.
Absolutely. And your platform has grown so much since we first started to have these annual talks. I think this is the third year we spoke, and you already had a huge platform at that time. But the adding of the bilingual library, as well as the Black authors page as well. So you also have Black
Forgot about
authors.
that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the website is humongous, man. Like, it has so many great verticals within it, and I'm proud member of that page. And I try to advertise as much as possible to other Black authors. Like, hey, you should definitely jump on this, and have your book highlighted, because the website is, it is really big. So to have yourself on the platform just adds to, your ability to seek out new readers. So I greatly appreciate that as well. And now the coding aspect, adding the coding to it as well. I think that's going to be really cool because, like STEM is greatly important. I myself started to dip my toe in the water and I did the Great American Teaching as well as I did another, it was like jobs night or I'm sorry, it was STEM night over here at the local grade school. And it's just great talking to the kids and explaining to them what I do and how I do it. And hearing from their older siblings who go to some of the local high schools here in Florida, how they're in programs that are STEM focused already. Like I talked to one young lady who is already on the cybersecurity route. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like she's already getting her Sec plus, Net plus, A plus in high school to then, elevate from there. So it is great to see that's also part of your program as well.
Yeah, it's coming a long way. And I remember when I was doing those certifications, I was grown. I had already had a, degree when I
Right.
started getting into A plus, network plus, and then security plus, and then the DoD took it on really hard and heavy and by me working for them, that was, one of them things that, it used to be back in the day, you could just take it once, and then somebody
Yeah, the
figured out
lifetime
a
cert,
way,
yeah.
let me keep making money off of this, and now we had to do it every year,
As a
so
as
but
man, listen, to be a fly on the wall of whoever thought that through, 'cause I so the DoD pushed me to get Security Plus and Net Plus because they weren't sure which track. 8570 was the name of the game at the time. I think it's like 4170 or something like that now. I don't keep up, but, they pushed me to get the lifetime cert. They're like, "Hey, get it this year so you don't take it every year." And sure enough, a year later, they're like, "Nah, everyone has to take it on an annual basis." I was like, "Man, if
yep.
only I had stock."
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Amazing, but, like, no, like you're saying, though, like, yeah, we obtain our certifications when we had bills to pay. Like, this young lady's knocking out before she even has to worry about it, right? So that's
Yeah, I know,
amazing.
right? That's pretty awesome that schools are embracing that and allowing young students to take that route if they choose to. And that's what the site is all about. It's a supplemental site. These things are tools for not only teachers but individuals just to learn more about our culture as far as Black history go. There's a lot of like I'm not even touching a huge piece. Like there's only about 500 people on the website. There's 200 and something to be that you can access right now. I continuously add people, but you can look at our roadmap and see the people that are coming down the pipe. But 500 and so people is not anywhere near the amount of Black historical figures that are out there doing great things and have done great things to enhance this country. And then just taking that next step as far as our community goes, we're bad about just understanding the aspects of money. Like we want the bag, but what do we do when we get the bag? Like that's the part that we need more help on, and this website just gives you the fundamentals and then just like in anything that if you really start feeling it and liking it, then you'll go down the rabbit hole and start to learn more. But I wanted to create a foundation, something to help people create that foundation. Like I said, we all have aspirations to do great things. And when you're coming from a Black community, very seldom do you get that foundation, so then you're all stressed out. But I believe, got aspirations, this platform helps give you that foundation. And then when you have a good foundation, that equals success. And that's what we're trying to do with our community, as well as other people, that's not African American, because the website's for everybody. But I'm just highlighting our history on that website, because it is not told enough what the great things that we've done, and representation matters.
No, absolutely. And for those who may be hearing you for the first time on the show, again, I've had Matthew on the show. This is the third time you've been a guest, and it originally stemmed out of a conversation that we had like I met you over a mutual acquaintance house for the holidays, and we started talking about our backgrounds and how we're IT focused and cybersecurity focused. And that's when I found out you're a cloud engineer who we never directly crossed paths, but we were in the same place at the same time when I was active duty here at McDill. And then it kind of just grew from there. It was like, okay, so what are you currently doing? And you explained to me about the website and how you were, expanding. You go into schools and teaching kids about Black History 365, like all year round. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely have to have you on. And it just so happened that February was coming around the corner, right? Because I think we met at like a Christmas party.
Christmas party.
Yeah. I had you on the show, and it's been awesome getting to know you and to being a part of what you're putting together. And again, it just continues to grow. And I like how, like you said, it's going to financial literacy because you can't out earn bad financial habits.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And I learned that firsthand when I finally got a hold of my first credit card, right? Like, because there were no banks in my neighborhood, kind of stereotypical, but you had check cashing places, pawn shops, things of that nature. You had to go really far out to get to
Mhm.
a bank. And next thing you know, I'm in the military, and they're like, "Hey, you can have this credit card," and I destroyed my credit immediately. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook, right? I just was like, money
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
in, and then it goes out just as quickly as it comes in, right? And it took a decade to figure out how to properly spend my money and save and use different vehicles to grow my money and things of that nature. Getting a hold of it right at 40 years old, to be a child and to have access to this type of information would have been phenomenal because it was not taught in my
Yeah.
school.
No, and that's the focus is we need to start as young as elementary because when you start to learn a system and understand it earlier in your life, then it's second nature. That's why when kids learn gymnastics early, martial arts, as they get older, they only get greater in those sports or that activity or whatever. And we should have that same focus about, the pillars of what controls your life. And finances definitely control your life. Civics, which means the system that you live in, that control because it tells you what you can do, what you can't do. Everybody has laws and policies that you need to follow. It's always great to see somebody else accomplish some of the things that you're trying to do. So now you have a blueprint. And that's when I started writing the books. That was what I was trying to do is just give these, not just young kids, but even young adults, a glimpse at somebody that gets up just like you every day, puts on their pants, one leg at a time. They actually did it. And you can look at their story. You might not take all of the things that they did, but you can see the path that they took. And then take the good things and apply that to your new path for your aspirations so that you can go out and accomplish whatever goals you set for yourself. So it starts early. That's why it was, critical for me to make the 12 and under to where it's on terms that those kids can, because it's talking about an allowance and chores and stuff like that, that they can, relate to those things because most households do those things when their kids are coming up. They give them chores. Some parents pay their kids for their chores. They get an allowance. Then now let's show them how to manage that allowance. Don't allow them to just, use that money frivolously. Have them, see that, hey, you can spend five, take the other five and put that in a high yield savings account, something that is going to work, for them and not just a savings account that works for the bank. You always want to do things that are working for you as the individual. Sometimes you just don't know no better or your parents don't know better. And we can't fault them, but now that you have access to this, and that's why I made it to where you can do it on your phone, you can do it on a tablet, you can do it on an iPad, on a PC, smart boards. It's on any smart device. You can just pull it up and just go through a lesson real quick. It doesn't take that long. I believe all the videos that are on there, none of them are over 5 minutes. So they're between 2 to 5 minutes long videos. All the videos are interactive, meaning that you can't just hit play. It won't play the whole video. The video stops in between just to make sure you're still paying attention by asking you questions in between as it's going through the video. So it's just, everything is interactive. I want wanna include you within these things because when you do things and you're enjoying it, that creates memories. Memories create retention, and that's the focus behind this whole platform. It's how can I get you to retain the knowledge and be able to apply it at a later date, not something that you scroll through, you see it, it was good. 10 minutes later, what was that I did? What I scrolled through? We don't want to do that on We Gonna Learn Today.
No, then that's great because it makes me think of CBTs, right? Same thing. Like you try to get people to learn something through computer based training, but you don't reinforce it. So it's just like, hey, I need to get this done. I need you to learn whatever security, challenge or tip or whatever. And then yeah, you dump it and then you click the bad link. And then we got a
Yeah.
different problem. But no, that's awesome. And I know you also go into schools and that you demo the products and have the teachers use them as well. So how because I know last time we talked, you were working on the bilingual presentation of the website. How has that gone for you? Like, have you seen like, some real growth from it? Has it really helped out the community in doing so?
Yeah, so a lot of the schools, obviously, in the Tampa Bay area are bilingual. You got a lot of, elementary that I go to and middle schools. It is crazy when the Latino kids hear it in their own language. Like the eyes light up. It is a different, like it is. I've seen it a few times. I've seen it as low as second grade up to fifth grade. Yeah, one sixth grade classroom, but it is phenomenal that and the teachers love that the option is there, and that's what it's all about, is just giving you options, 'cause and could if you're trying to learn Spanish, you could go there and hit the read along books because it's reading the language, so you're hearing somebody speaking what it is, and then if you just click over to the English side, it is the exact same book, exact same words in English, so you could put 2 and 2 together and possibly learn a new language as well.
That's awesome. Because yeah, I used to do something similar to that when I was trying to learn Japanese, right? Like read kids' books, like the Hungry
Mhm.
Caterpillar and stuff like that, to try to solidify. Because something I've read before, right? I read it to my kids, and now I'm hearing it in a different language, and it helps to reinforce it. So that's a really really smart idea. I might actually play around with it myself because I've noticed like I'll go down to because we're both in Florida for those who are listening, so I always forget to put a top. So we're on WDJY 9.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area as well as worldwide through the TuneIn app. But here in Florida, I will go to like Busch Gardens and everybody speaking Spanish. And I'm just like, man, I should really pay attention when I was in school.
And I took French in high school, so I was like, "Oh, French is like that romance language," and I was like, I just wanted to be that guy, and, I took it in college, I added on. I actually took, 3 years in college. I stuck with it, and, this many years later, I wish I had took Spanish as well, but who woulda knew that, Spanish would be as popular as it is? Because I remember back in the day, there was a lot of people, unfortunately, saying, "Why are you here if you can't learn our language? We don't need to change stuff to your language, learn the English language." And now you see it where it's pretty much everywhere you go, you got an English version of the menu and a Spanish version of the menu. Different events you go to, you see the English and the Spanish. Hey, it's one of those things showing that the growth of the country, even though some people might not want those parts to continue to grow, but they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere.
They used to always rub me the wrong way when I was younger growing up as well. So it's not even out of politics or anything like that. Like it's more like anywhere you go outside of the US, you're going to find that they have another population that speaks a different language, right?
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
no official language here in the US, period, full stop. But if you go to when I traveled to Germany, I would see signs in French, obviously. When I would travel to Rio, I'd see signs in Cyrillic for Russian as well as Hebrew uh and English. Like every
Same
country you
here.
go to is gonna have multiple languages that are spoken in that area. In the US, they're like, nah, you're gonna speak English when you're here. Like that's
That's
don't
just
worry, that
that's
doesn't
just
exist
us,
anywhere.
man. That's us as a country, man. We just feel like, it's crazy because 'cause we're probably, out of those ones you named, the youngest, and we just
Right.
feel like, we should be, we want to be bigger than all of those people combined. Like we want to show our dominance. And if you come here, you're either going to do it our way or you're going to get booted out or type deal. And everybody came here from somewhere except
Right.
for the Native Indians. So it's pretty crazy, how that works.
Right. And then the last piece, because I know people are probably punching the radio right now. When I've gone to other countries, because you always say like, okay, well, U.S. is the dominant language. Everybody speaks English whenever you go somewhere. I've lived in both Sicily and Germany, and both of them told me to kick rocks. Like, do you understand any other language except for English? Because we speak 6 different languages, but that's not one of them. And you just be like,
Yeah. Hey,
I'm
that's
sorry.
that's what you need
Can
for
you
a
find
translator. That's what you
exactly?
look
Then I
for
want
a
to go to my
translator.
phone. Of like, one of these languages you do speak, I'm gonna, translate it into the phone.
And that's crazy. Like when you go to other countries, it's nothing for them. Their kids and even the adults, they usually know 2 or 3 different languages.
Right.
It's nothing for them. That's something that they were taught in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something
So
that we should be doing so that we could be more versatile, because we no matter we're dominant in certain areas, but we still need these other countries to survive. And in order for you to be, some people they never leave the United States. But if you get a chance to, get that passport and get out there and move around, you'll get a rude awakening of what you see out there and how diverse it is. And you'll realize that learning those other languages is a blessing.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It also helps with just not only the comfort of travel, but also with haggling, right? Like most countries do haggle prices. If you
Ain't no
don't,
most, almost every country
yeah,
except for the United States.
if you know the language, it definitely helps you to
Yeah, yeah.
grease the skids and be able to do what you want to do. But if you don't, then oh, they're gonna run over you.
Yeah, you ain't lying, and then you'll walk about 10, 15 feet, and somebody'll be selling what you
Hmm.
just bought for cheaper. Yeah, and you'll be like, "Wait a second, how?" Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember that, and I was in Haifa, Israel, and I was in Suda Greece, like those same places. They allowed you to almost, I think everywhere we went, when I was deployed, everywhere allowed you to haggle. The price you saw was a suggestion. It wasn't, that was the final price. Almost every country I was in, our currency was higher. So they always wanted American money.
But yeah,
There was only a few places where our currency was lower, but it is one of those things that not when you get to the United States, the price you see is the price you get. Unless you got a coupon. Yeah, that's your haggle right there. I got
right.
this 20% off. Yeah, but if you don't got that, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, no doubt. But back to we gonna learn today. So again, great website. So you have a collection of books. You have the interactive games and puzzles and media within the site. Financial literacy, which is super important. And then you said like civics, which I don't think we get enough of in school. You do to a certain extent to like 5th grade, and then it kind of tapers off, and it goes kind
Yeah.
of downhill from there. Adding coding to it, I think it's going to be amazing. My son is really big into coding, learning, teaching himself Python. We're going to change he's going from one coding academy to another one just because of the different way of teaching. Like we think you've outgrown one,
Mhm.
he's going to go to the other one. But I know a lot of people are worried about coding going away because of the birth of AI and things of that nature. But
It ain't
I
going
think,
nowhere.
yeah, it's not going anywhere, right? So it's more of like I think everyone needs to know to a certain extent, right? Like if it's not your job, it's not your job. But I think it does help with a train of thought, with a way of project management, with a way of just thinking differently.
Yeah, you
And
you you processing the information differently. When you're thinking through, when you're coding, you gotta think, sometimes 5, 6 steps ahead, because you can't just think about what you're trying to do right now. Because the coding that Imma be offering is C sharp. I think, and I think I might have talked to you about this before, but I'm thinking around that 13, 14-year old, because it is a unforgiving language, as easy as, Python or
right,
Ruby or Luna, some of the other programming languages, C sharp and C++, plus plus. Those are like the grandfather languages that those other languages were built off of. And, but the reason I want to do C sharp is because C sharp, you can build it for any device, any computer, anything, where, you're kind of pigeonholed when you use Luna or, even JavaScript can only works on certain things. Python as well. There's just some environments it doesn't work on. Just like Flash, that's an older
Right.
macromedia language that was for animation and stuff. It only worked on certain things. But yeah, C sharp is something that, when I build my apps and stuff, it can work on any device. That's why, like when I build my stuff, I can say it works on the iPad or the Android. I don't have to worry about those things. I just need to make sure that everything looks good when I build it. And, obviously you got to test it out. And then even when you do test it, you still got bugs. So, and you see it. So, that's one of those things that you try to teach younger kids, that it's okay to make mistakes, or it's okay to do something and it was working good, but then you found a better way
Right.
to write the code, because in the beginning, it's just about getting it down, understanding the process. And then after that, you go forth and do great things. When I was taking coding way back when, the one thing that my teacher told me was like, you don't try to reinvent the wheel. You try to enhance the wheel. You get a piece of code. Okay, you see what it does. Now, how can you take that to the next level? And then just understanding the different rules of if then statements and else statements and some of the other constraints that you can use, you can bend it to your will in certain aspects. So, and it's just, I'll be teaching like the fundamentals of things, and they'll be learning like the Flappy Bird app, uh, and they'll go from there, and then they'll do great things. But everything I do on We Going to Learn Today is all about giving you a solid foundation. Is what I feel like when you have a solid foundation, you can go forth and you can be rocked a little bit, but still be able to maintain. And that's the whole process, I mean, the whole thought process behind We're Gonna Learn Today is giving you that solid foundation. That way you can go forth with your aspirations and do great things.
I think that's awesome. Me and my wife were reminiscing that back in the real late 90s, real early 2000s, everyone knew a little bit of HTML because of MySpace and Black
Yep,
Planet. We
yep,
all wanted to have like the dope, page and the
yep.
music was playing
Got
and
that cascading style
right,
sheets.
yep,
Yep.
exactly, yep. And that just kinda went away, right? Like, we all kind of ventured into it, and then it kind of just got dialed back as the internet started to mature, and these websites got a lot more secure because that was kind of sus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was open. It was wide open.
Yeah,
I remember one of the ways you could tell if you was on a secure site, like you was doing a payment, you had to make sure you looked up there, saw the HTTPS
yep,
and the lock. You had to have both of them, not just the HTTPS. You need the
right.
lock up there too. So it has come a long way from those days. But just being able to live through all of those things, I tell my kids all the time. I was like, I've been around for numerous creations of cars. There was no Hyundai. Like,
Right,
you looking at some of these cars, I remember when they first introduced those things, candy bars and different things like that, you know. But that also goes back to the financial literacy. I tell people this too. Man, where would I be if I understood financial literacy and when Facebook first came out, because I was
yeah.
around for that, when Amazon first dropped, when Apple first dropped, just understanding that aspect to be able to put just a little bitty old $20 in there and see how it would have ballooned just because I knew a little bit about investing and how that works. And that's what I'm trying to showcase in the financial literacy piece of this. How can you make passive income, making your money continue to work for you while we doing this call? Somebody just bought one of my books. I just made some money. You know what I'm saying? But I wrote that book 4 years ago, but I'm still collecting on that. we need to start teaching our younger youth, as well as people that don't haven't learned it yet, how that works, so that they can start to be able to be more mature in their money making decisions and be able to maybe secure retirement early because they've been able to understand how these different mechanics work. What you call it, I don't like to say that dude's name, but he boasts about the Dow and the S&P, and but he's right where when people don't even there's a lot of people that don't even understand how the stock market works and how that money is working for you. Just buying a little bitty old stock in Nike or Walmart
Mhm.
or Amazon, and how as they grow, your money grows, and that's the importance of financial literacy.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I'd be interested because I know like you had so many irons in the fire and you always build out your site. But when I did the STEM night with the kids, I learned really quickly how much better it would have been if it had been more interactive, right? So I was like, man, if only I had the ability to, tap the site or have something from the site. So if you ever dabble into cybersecurity for a younger audience, I would definitely like to be part of that project and be able to take that with me into classrooms because I did pretty good, but it's one thing to come in and adapt. It's another thing to be properly prepared. I was not Batman in the situation. I was not prepared
Yeah,
for the questions they were going to ask and how they would adapt and change. So I had to try to move with them, and it would have been awesome to just have it available.
look at you, quick on your feet, quick on your feet.
It was beat me up.
But no, that's the beauty. Like when I go to schools and like some of the teachers, they have no clue that they'll be like, I was like, hey, can I get your can I get on your monitor, on your computer? And they're like, what do you need? I'm like, I just need the board to work. And they're like, oh, the board work. I'm like, so is the touch screen on? Because they don't even know that concept of it. I've been in some classes where the teacher was like, I didn't even know it could do that. Like, so just helping them and educating them. And by me building the curriculum around the smart board and how to take advantage of those different things. I mean, haven't been to a class yet where I didn't have like that maximum participation from the students. They don't want me to leave. They want to keep doing it. It turns into a kind of a competition thing depending on which activity we're playing. It is such a great thing, and people are always like, well, why don't you show videos and stuff of that? Y'all don't understand that in schools, student has to have a signed letter from a parent saying that you can release the different pictures. If just one student doesn't have that release form, then none of those videos, because these schools be taking videos and stuff. I ask for them all the time, and they're like, "Hey, we got to double check and make sure all the
Right.
students are eligible for us to send a video." And I have yet to get a video. Like, there's always one student in these classes that doesn't have a signed letter from the parent, like authorizing the school to release video or pictures. If they don't have that authorization, then you just can't do it. When I go to academies, like private schools and stuff, usually I can take pictures, and I do have some of them on my website and stuff. But besides that, man, dealing with public schools is different. You can't just take a picture and just think you're going to, not without getting in trouble. You can post it if you want, but that'll probably be the last picture you post. You won't be going, because them schools talk, man. They be like, hey, he posted something without our authorization, and now you ain't getting no schools. So I just like, hey, word of mouth. And that's what it's been doing, man. Where the teachers pass it on to other teachers. I'm part of different organizations. Like I'm part of Teachers by Teachers.
Okay.
Teachers Pay Teachers website, and I do really good over there. Yeah, so it's just been a blessing, man, to see like that people, when you think of an idea, you think people might want to be engaged. But when you bring it to light, and then people actually are engaged with it, I remember back when we first did this, I was maybe getting a subscriber once every 3 or 4 months. Like I was like, man, what am I doing wrong? Now I get subscribers, 3 to 4 of them a week.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it is picked up tremendously. There's way more people on the site doing great things, and that's just my thing to keep going because I know it's just affecting one person's life is blessing payment enough to maybe somebody else. I help somebody else understand some of these aspects that I wish now that I know about it that I wish I'd known earlier in life. That like you said, because I did the same thing you did. Had too many credit cards, had a bunch of,
Right.
it messed up my credit and stuff. And then I went to go buy a house and they was like, hey, you can't buy a house with this credit. And then I was in a program that helped me get my credit right, starting to understand more about, the credit and how it works. And, that took a while. I had to pay off credit cards that, I had no intentions on paying off, you know,
Right.
it was crazy, man, like, just, because you like, "Hey, they ain't getting their money back," and then you start to realize, again, like, the civics part starts to kick in. It's
Yeah.
all a system, and you need to do this in order to get this. So in order for me to get a house, I had to bite my tongue and go back and pay them people, and go from there. By you understanding that earlier in life, then you can make more educational decisions as you get older. It'd been great if I'd have known what an APR was when I got to college and got that credit card, or how can I make the credit card work for me? Understanding that,
Right.
hey, buy in small doses, pay it off, and then buy more. Don't use it as a, hey, I'm over here just splurging, because that's not what it's there. If you use it responsibly, you can, grow your credit at a faster rate and start to be able to get other things that you would like to get in life.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to be that person in your kid's life. So like you said, we had a lot of hard lessons. Like you made me laugh, but it's true. Like I don't have no intention of hitting them back up. But then you learn over time, especially through the military, you're like, oh, you want to keep that
Oh
clearance?
yeah,
You better do X or Y or Z. But now my kids, right? Like I got my oldest is, working towards getting her first apartment. So having the ability to say, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and I will, support you and give you whatever you need to make it happen. Or with my youngest, right? Like the other kids, thankfully, both the GI Bill as well as they're brilliant. So they have scholarships and things of that nature. But it took me until we had the youngest to be like, oh yeah, there's a 501, I think it's called like a 501c that
yeah.
I could put in a
Case
small
real
amount
thing.
and it builds from there, right? So like he's covered, but the other two, like, hey, if you're not smart, you'd have been in
I
trouble.
know, right? You better look for them grants, them state grants,
Right.
Pell
Right. But it's
Grant,
just yeah,
North Carol I mean, Florida State
evolution.
Grant. Yeah,
Yeah, that evolution of just learning better financial literacy to be able to make those informed decisions and then hopefully be able to, like you said, retire early
yeah,
and
yeah.
have that leg up so you're not, working until your time is up. So
Yeah, no,
it is
I agree
amazing.
with that, and I mean, I'd rather work because I wanna work,
Right.
vice
Because I'm
versa, because
bored.
I have to work,
Yeah.
because I feel that's where I'm at right now, because 'cause I'm retired, so, I do this because I wanna do this. I enjoy, creating my creative this fills my creative side of my mind, creating these different apps and games and stuff like that, and making it to where, it's not just, the regular old word connect. How can we incorporate some Black history or financial literacy or these different things within that game? You're still playing it, it's still very popular, but now let's learn something while we're playing it. So that is the good thing about all of that, man. I'm excited about the educational arcade that's coming. I can't wait for people to see. I've already been kind of beta testing it at different
Okay.
festivals. It has been like, especially the print and cursive piece that you can now do on your phone or on your iPad, use your stylus. I got like 20-year-olds. Like there was a female that was just at the Collard Green Festival that I was at. And she was like, man, I'm gonna start using this because they took it out of school before I could learn cursive. So she
Wow.
was
Yeah.
excited just because, and I was like, "How old are you?" And she was like, "I'm 24." And I was like, "Man, it's been out of school that long? That is crazy that, it hasn't been being taught for 20, at least 24 years plus,
Yes, that
you
is pretty
know.
wild.
Yeah, so where it was a staple, like, because I'd be asking, but like, how do you sign a contract? Like, printing wasn't something that you could put on a contract. That didn't solidify back when we were growing up. You had to sign your name in cursive. So, and I do know that you got the where you can do like on Adobe and
On
do
the
an e-sign.
DocuSign, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but when you're in person, how do do you just print your name? Like it's one of those things. How do you do a check? Even though a lot of people don't use checks anymore, but they're still around. So I've been to some places where they still only take check. I'm like, how do you only? What about all the other avenues? Like, really, all
You're like,
this
"No
other?
point of sale." Like, they don't have we don't have any of those. No merchant
Yep,
acquirer, none of
yep, yep. No,
though. Yeah, 'cause, yeah, I remember is when I lived 'cause they with the book had,
yeah, yep.
to
And
learn how
now you can do that right on your phone, my brother.
okay,
It's coming out, man. Like I had a class. I was at the Zora Neale Hurston Festival, and it was Education Day, and so there was a bunch of classes that came out, and there was a first grade class, and that teacher tried to bribe them kids. She couldn't get them off of it. Like they was just in it. Like I was like, man, that's when you know you got something. When the kids that you're creating it for can't get enough of it. Once they figure it out, like showed one kid how to do it, and then all the kids just looked at them and kind of learned. So when they stepped up, because I was letting them, I was like, hey, it's about 17 of y'all. Y'all gotta each of y'all get a letter. Like you can't just keep doing them. You do a letter and then just get back in line and keep coming around. And that's what they did. They went through the whole alphabet in the print. Then we put it on cursive and they started doing the
okay.
cursive letters. It was really cool, man, to watch. Yeah, I even got a little video of all of them saying, "We gonna learn today." It was so
That's
cute.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, man, it's just amazing seeing like people interact with stuff that you thought was going to make a difference, and then just seeing them use it the way that you intended on it being used. Because sometimes you create something and you sell the rights to it and that ain't what they intended on using it for you know and that brings up like what you was talking about with the AI. That's the part that I think a lot of people haven't really even focused in on yet, is that AI is a great tool if you're using it in its proper forms. As you know, we always got somebody out there that's going to take it and do some evil with it. How can I scam some more people? How can I make documents a little better to where you can't recognize, or emails, and
Right.
just scheming on people's bad luck or unfortunate circumstances, man. And but I don't think that AI is going to replace people, because AI, people don't realize, even though they're saying it's AI cannot think for itself. AI only goes off of information that we have fed into the internet for decades. Like all the stuff that it's doing in seconds is because it has ample material to read, to feed off of, to spit it back out to you. So people that are all, you can't tell AI to create something that has never been created.
Right.
Only humans can still do that. And until AI can do that, that's when I'm not even worried about it. Yeah, just because you're giving me something that has already been out there and you're regurgitating it, that's basically what it's doing. But it's, you put a different parameters on it. So it might have been, hey, somebody created it for a nonprofit. You was like, hey, I want to take that idea, but I want it to be for profit. How do I do that? And then it kind of looks at it and be like, oh, this is how you do that. And but you can't until it starts creating stuff on its own. Because even the humanoids, they need somebody to go off of or to learn from somebody. They don't do those breakdancing moves coming out
Right.
the box. They don't do the karate coming out the box. They got to learn that stuff. And that's the issue with AI. I don't even know why it's being called AI, because it's not artificial intelligence. It is, but when you deal with somebody that's like your computer mind, you've been into this, So am I. We understand what it is. I tell people AI is not AI, it's a glorified search engine. And that's basically what it is. It is not what you think it is. And they be like, but no, I had it do this. And I'm like, it took that from somebody else, is documents that have been put somewhere. That's why they got these data farms that are running 24/7, never sleeping, because they're constantly pulling from these different repositories. And when you understand how the back end works, then you understand how it's doing these different things. But unless you can comprehend that, or unless you've been there in those environments, understanding that, and that's the blessing that I like about me working for the DoD, because the DoD has an endless checkbook, and they always get great, like, cause stuff that I learned 10 years ago is just now coming to the civilian sector. Like, I saw this stuff 10 years ago, and I'm like, man, they just, just now getting it. Cause I was working on smart boards back in 2004, and it's just now getting in almost it still ain't in every school yet. Like, it's still not a norm. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. And that's what you need to look for. How can you get your niche? Figure out, and that's what I capitalized on, is, making it interactive, engaging, and including you within the lecture instead of just lecturing to you, because kids love that. They want to be a part of it,
Right.
instead of sitting there like, oh, here go Ryan again talking about cybersecurity, But like you said, if you had have made it to where it's engaging, and now they got to come up and do something, and then you let them come up as they do. Because that's the other thing that I've learned. Like, usually when I'm in classes, there's always 2 or 3 shy kids that just kind of looking at everybody, letting everybody take a turn, but eventually they get up and they come to the board too. And that's the magic in it. That's when you know you got something. That, you can even get those shy kids to start participating and doing the fist pump when they get it right. So that's what I love to see when I go to schools, man. Such a blessing.
Yeah, no doubt. So I always like to end with what you're doing outside, but you did jog my memory. So I literally just had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I won't belabor this point, but it was the same principle of how the military is, light years ahead when it comes, especially to cybersecurity and defense, right? Because we build our networks for defense over, you know, civilian networks that are kind of just, they kind of evolve over time, right? It's like, like
Well, they're
this thing
building
was
for
built.
profit.
Yeah, they're built for profit. They evolve over time. We secure as necessary. And I told him I like to always, like, as a consultant, I like to flip the narrative sometimes, because he was like, "Yeah, this it's all buzzwords. It's like ZTA, zero trust, architecture, yada yada yada." I was like, "Yes, but I call it military grade defense." And I was like, "Have you heard of this thing called a disastig?" I mean, things that we do all the time. But you spin it, you be
Oh,
like,
yeah,
"Oh man, like
I know exactly what you're talking about, sir. I know exactly what you're talking about. Man, them inspections are brutal.
yes,
They take no
hilarious."
witness.
Right, right, exactly. But so before we land this plane, so with the limited time I have with you, I always like to end with, what are you doing outside of, like, you're an accomplished author, you produce music, you are a architectural engineer, you've developed all of this phenomenal media and interactive you know edutainment for the kids. What are you doing for yourself to either recharge your batteries or to take time off?
To be honest, man, like, just creating the different apps is a joy to me. I love programming, and just being able to, like I said, not trying to recreate the wheel, but enhance it. So it's been a joy creating. That's why I'm so excited about the educational arcade. Is I found ways to take regular games that are being played every day on your phone, but just for stars, and implementing different, financial literacy, civics, black history, and allowing you to learn as you're playing. And you're still getting the stars, but let's pop up a little card of, a fun facts or something like that. Let's make it to where you're making a decision, and you're choosing a need over a want, or a want over a need, and seeing how that pans out when you as you continue to play. Or you're playing you're learning your multiplication or division, and you're trying to figure out how, which meteor to destroy. Because I got a game where you're a wizard and you're being attacked by these different math meteors, and you got to figure out which one is which, so that you can destroy it. But yeah, man, that's been kind of what I've been doing. That's why they tell you, if you do what you love, you're not really working,
Right.
because you love it. So, by me being retired, that is what I kind of do. Is I think I've talked to you before. I'm also creating my own game for like PlayStation and Xbox, which I've put on hold a little bit because I feel like the platform is at a higher, it's more important at this point, especially the height of what's going on in our country right now as far as with Black history and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, and I can't wait because you did let me demo what you've been working on, so I can't wait for you to be able to introduce that. But I do get nowadays, like, especially when it comes to civics and financial literacy, like, yeah, your platform is amongst a minority of platforms that are actually trying to get the word out to educate people and get them ready for whatever is coming next. Before I land this plane, definitely continue to check us out on WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area, as well as worldwide on the TuneIn app and your podcast platform of choice. That has not changed, so we can find you pretty much everywhere podcasts are released, as well as YouTube. And where can they find you, Matthew?
They can find me on all social medias under We Gonna Learn Today, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and they can go to wegonalearntoday.org or wegonalearntoday.com, either one of them. And excuse me. Again, the website is completely free. All you need is an email account to join up, and the pay part is if you would choose to buy a paperback, and that money again goes back into the website, or you can click on the support UGLT 365 link that's on the website, and you can choose to support there. We are a 501c nonprofit, so you get a tax write-off for your donations. Or if you would like to sponsor the website as well, you can look at the different tiers and what you as a company get when you sponsor at that level. But yeah, we just grateful that you allowed us to come on the platform and just, get the word out about We Gonna Learn Today.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure and it's always a great conversation. So thank you for all those who are listening in. Stay safe, stay secure.